and I sincerely thank you all for joining me in today's presentation. Just want to double check at this point to make sure everybody can see the blue Topcon Solutions screen. If that is not, please put something in the chat so that we can adjust our screens so that you could see us. So want to say that we often hear from our Bluebeam users that they would like the opportunity to understand the basics and use that to create a foundation for their Bluebeam review skill set. With so many options and choices in Bluebeam Review, I've created a webinar tailored exclusively to what you need to know about the Bluebeam markup tools to get you up and running. So a little bit about me. I've worked in vertical and horizontal construction for over 25 years. I started using Bluebeam while working in pre-construction, and I was instantly captured by this tool, as I'm sure you all are. And I still am. I find the markup tools not only to be very creative, but also they help standardize processes that help save me a lot of time. So about us, Topcon Solutions is the retail arm of Topcon Positioning Systems, the world leader in construction layout, machine automation, and land surveying products. Along with selling the complete portfolio of Topcon products, Topcon Solutions is a platinum tier and award-winning Autodesk value-added reseller, a platinum level Bluebeam partner, and we have certified instructors on staff. We have retail stores located throughout the Pacific Northwest, the Midwest, and the Northeast. And we also offer state-of-the-art training with certified instructors, along with unparalleled technical support and service to keep all of your software and equipment humming right along. So let's get to it. Today's agenda, folks. Today we'll start with an overview of the markup tools. Then we'll go into using the markups. We'll work with markup properties. We'll customize markups and tool sets. And we'll go over the essentials of the markups list. Okay, folks. So now let's get into the markup tools. So an overview of the markup tools. Currently, we're looking at Bluebeam Review 20, which is similar to Bluebeam 19. And they decided to change it to just 20, which I think is a great idea. So just so you know, markups are basically comments and annotations that appear on your PDF document. They are fully customizable. They can be saved, reused, imported, exported. They're essentially part of the PDF, but not part of the underlying content of the PDF. So because of this, they can be moved and edited real easily and more readily than the PDF content itself. Markups can actually become part of the PDF by flattening, and then they can be also associated with different layers. So let's just take a look at where the markup tools are actually located. So up in my tools menu, top of my screen, this drop-down will show all of my markups. These are all my markup tools. I've got the little tool here, text box with letter T next to it. T is going to be your shortcut key, as well as W, N, and Q. So here we've got text box, typewriter, note, callout. We've got pen and highlight. The eraser tool only works with the pen and highlight right in here. And then we've got line tools, dimension tools, shape tools, cloud and cloud plus, image tools. This is where we can import an image or actually use an image as a markup. We could flag content, and then here we could actually mark up the actual PDF content itself. Here we could some options for marking up the PDF content. And then after that, let's take a look here. We've got stamps. These are also markup tools. You could create a stamp. These are the default stamps that Bluebeam has provided for us. Here are the measure markup tools. Sketch to scale. These are shapes that can be scaled to fit your drawing. Let's see, other options here. Just want to talk briefly about the toolbars. So what you see on my screen are a bunch of toolbars across the very top of my screen. That's this area right up here across the top. So what I've done is I've turned on my signature tool, file tool, measure tool, rotation and shape. So I've turned on a few toolbars and I've actually populated them up here at the very top. So these are the tools I generally use on a day-to-day basis. And then if I wanted to, like right here, I have this Vinnie toolbar. Of course, it'd be a Vinnie toolbar. So what that allows me to do is what I've gone ahead and inside toolbars at customize, I've created my own toolbar with just these tools here. So as an example, in this customized toolbars, these are basically all the markup tools in Bluebeam. And then what I've done is I've gone ahead in this toolbar category on the right, clicked on add, put my name in, created my own toolbar, and then highlighted it. And then I could go ahead and click on a tool, use this side arrow, and place it into my toolbar. And then, okay, so the idea with this is I can create a toolbar that has just the tools I want to use. So say up here, I've got some of these measure tools that I'm never going to use. I could eliminate those and just have a nice clean toolbar up here at the very top. So a good option for folks. I'm just going to cancel out of that. And with markups, so when a markup is placed on a document, it's actually, not only is it placed on the document, when I click on this markup right here, this is what's called a cloud plus, and it's got a little text box next to it. When I select this markup on the document, it's going to highlight down here in the markups list. The markups list is this list. It's down here at the bottom of your screen. It's this little hamburger button right here. And a couple of things we're going to talk about in the markups list itself. We'll talk about subject, we're going to talk about status, and we're going to talk about custom columns. And I've created a responsibility column here. And the way I use that is I can apply a name or a contractor or an entity that's responsible for the content of that markup. So that helps keep accountability with our drawings. Other things about markups. So this markup here, currently placed on my drawing, if I left click, it highlights it, and you can see it's highlighted by these little yellow controls. And if I right click on the markup, I get a bunch of controls. So I can copy this markup from this drawing to another drawing. I could use Format Painter. Other things, I could place this markup on a layer. The capture tool allows me to add picks right to this, connected to this markup. There's the flatten tool right here. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Other things I could do is I could lock this markup. I could set a status right here. I could add this markup to a tool chest. We'll talk about that in a moment. But if I have a drawing that's got some markups that someone previously created, I can go ahead, sorry about that. I can go ahead and add it to my tool chest and hold on to it and reuse that tool. I can set it as a default. And then I've got properties down here, which we'll take a look at briefly. So let's talk about flatten real quick. So the flatten option, what that does is it makes the markup part of the PDF content. Now, when you do that, the information down here in the markups list is going to disappear. So it's no longer going to be considered a markup. It's going to be considered part of the PDF content. So before I do that, I'm going to come up here to document, and then I'm going to come down here to flatten. Flatten and unflatten right next to it. So if I click on flatten, I get this drop-down box. I've got options. Option I want to show you, that's one of the most important ones right here, is allow markup recovery. So if I have that checked on, when I flatten these markups to my document, I can unflatten them if I want to access them, edit them, remove them, copy them. So as long as I have this checked, I'm good to go. Or I could recover the document. So now I'm going to go ahead and just click flatten, and you can see all of those markups no longer in the markups list. The one that was unable to be flattened is this note tool, which is over here. We'll talk about that in a moment. But now you can see I can try and select these, and they're part of the PDF content, but they kept their image and their color. So now if I want to unflatten, I would go back to my document, click down here on unflatten, and you can see markups list is now populated with the markups. And I could go back to my markups, I could click on them, edit them, move them around, and have access to them. So that's kind of a way to almost protect your markups as well. If you flatten your markups to your document, another user can't accidentally select them and change them or delete them, that kind of thing. Another thing I want to show you is you could lock your markup. So if I select this markup with a left click and then right click, and then I'm going to come down here to lock. So now the little controls, they've turned gray. And now this markup is locked. I can click on it, it'll highlight. It's still in the markups list, but it's not accessible. I'll right click on it again, and I'll unlock. All right. So just a couple of things about the markup tools there. Now let's look at where markup tools are actually located. There's a few places where you can find markup tools. One place is on an existing drawing. Got markup tools on this particular drawing here. There's the shortcut key. So if I type in the letter K, that's the Cloud Plus markup. I can go ahead and start my cloud. Okay, so that's one way to do it. I can copy markups from one document to another. You can come up into Tools, Markup, select markups through here. And I could also come to my tool chest, which is this little toolbox looking icon over on the left side of my screen. And if you don't see it on your screen, the left side over here, if I hover my cursor and right click and go to show, this is going to show me all of the potential panels that are available. So this is called the panel access area, this left side. And these are all the panels that are available. So if I didn't have it turned on, I'd come down to tool chest and I could select it right here and turn it on. If I wanted to remove tool chest, I can right click on it and hit hide, and then it goes back into the panel access, and it just cleans up this area right here instead of having a whole bunch of icons there. So the tool chest is another place to get markups. So here are more markups. So I went ahead and downloaded this electrical tool set from Bluebeam Review Extensions. And the nice thing about it is I didn't have to make any of these tools. I just downloaded them. And I'll show you where you can get tools from Bluebeam Review Extensions. So in this particular tool set, you can see I've got a symbol for the tool, or the symbol for the markup, and then a little subject information about the markup itself. And inside the tool chest itself, I've got these little cogwheels. If I click on one of these cogwheels, I can change how my tool set is displayed by either detail mode or symbol mode. If I go to symbol mode, I can hover over the tool and still get a little tooltip. And basically it's just a single click on that tool, bring it into the drawing and place it on the drawing. So that's right in here, symbol mode and detail mode. Another thing I want to take a look at, folks, here is, oh, well, I mentioned the review extensions. So Bluebeam Review has this web tab. It's under the window menu web tab. I went ahead and opened up this web tab, and then it takes you right into Bluebeam's help. And then I just did a search for review extensions. And this is a location in Bluebeam where You can download tool sets such as this electrical tool set, stamps, dictionaries, different profiles, and basically you'll see them like this. And it's just a matter of clicking on whatever tool set you like and downloading it, and it basically opens up. What I do with my tool sets is I save them in a separate folder marked tool sets outside of Bluebeam so that I always have access to them. Here's some tools for Office. Same with stamps, different kinds of stamps, interactive stamps, profiles, different profiles that you can download, and dictionaries as well. So that's the review extensions. I find this really helpful. These tools are already created for us. All right, so those are locations where you could find markup tools themselves. Let's take a look at markup properties. So markup properties, if you look across the top of my screen, there's nothing here just yet. And if I select a markup, now it's populated. So I'm gonna hide some of this stuff on the side because it can be distracting. So now I've got these properties. These are the properties of this markup. So you can see I've got over here properties of the line. So I've got different colors right here. I could change the colors of my line. I could change the width factor of the line. I could change the opacity of the line. Over here, I could change the shape or the size of the actual cloud. I've got fill colors. I gave this kind of purplish fill color, and then I could change the opacity of that fill color. So I could go into this next box and make it lighter. And there's also the highlight right here. And by clicking on that, that will make this markup be a highlight, so you can see the color of the markup and still see the content underneath it. And over here, I've got options for my line color. And we're going to go ahead and use this here shortly. I just wanted to show you what we've got available to us. Okay, so this is the properties toolbar. It's going to populate as soon as you select a markup. Okay, and you can see it disappears when it's not selected. And there's another place. As always, software always has more than one place for things, so it keeps us looking, keeps us busy. If I select the markup and I turn on my little properties, this little cogwheel here, now I'm looking at the properties of this Cloud Plus tool. So the things that the things I want to show you here for this Cloud Plus tool, there's a lot of options. Some of the ones that you really want to start with getting a grip on are going to be the subject of this Cloud Plus. Right in here, you could see the text from the text box. I can edit the text right here if I wanted to, or I can double click in the text box here and edit the text. So there's that. Also down here in the properties cogwheel, I've got options. I could add hatch, opacity. I could change the opacity. Once again, my line style, if I have any line style I like. Colors, the shape right here, this rectangle, I could change the text box to a circle, triangle, and they've added a hexagon for 2020. Different text types. Good idea to use a true font text type that will always be able to print real easily. Font size and more font editing tools. And then down here, I've got custom. So since I created a responsibility column, that custom column is right in here, and I could put whatever responsibility information in here. And add tool chest. So if I click on this, I could add this to the My Tools tool chest. And those are some of the real basic properties. Another property I want to show us here is, suppose I want my text box to be rather large. And my text, I want my text to match the size of my text box. So I've got these two other options over here. I've got this auto size text box tool and auto size text. So if I click on auto size text, it's going to go ahead and make the text larger to match the size of the text box. And if I click on the other one, auto size text box, it's going to make the text box smaller to match the size of the text. There, you can set those defaults in your preferences. Another tool with markups is down here. I've got this reuse markup tools turned on. So this is one of my toolbars. I'll show you this one. If I come to toolbars, navigation bar, status bar. So if I turn off the status bar, you can see where it's actually located when I turn it back on. And then down here, a couple of things I've got are snap to content, which is good for measuring, snap to markup, also good for measuring, and reuse markup tools. So just by using a markup tool, having this reuse markup tools turned on, you could single click, put a markup on the document, hit enter again, markup comes right back up. So that's your reuse option right there. This is also available to be set up in your preferences. And your preferences are actually right here, review, preferences, and you've got lots of options in here. So if I go to tools, I think reuse is in here. Here it is, reuse tools. So under tools, markup, reuse tools, I've got that selected. And then basically we did a little webinar on this, on preferences, and you may find that information on our website. As far as a webinar on, I think it was the Bluebeam Jumpstart series. I don't know if that's available or not. Anyway, we did a whole thing on preferences. There's a lot, as you can see in here. All this information is also available on Bluebeam's website. So you can just go to their website and get the information you need about what preferences do and how to set them up. All right. So let's see. Let's go ahead and customize some markups, and then we'll look at the tool chest a little bit more. The two tool chests I'd like to focus on are going to be the My Tools and the Recent Tools. So let's go to our sister drawing, basically the same drawing, but without the comments and markups. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to copy a markup. I'm going to click on this one, copy, into my other drawing, paste. And there's my markup. It comes in with all the information that's in that markup. Simple copy and paste, copied it into this new drawing. And by doing that, that markup now shows up in my tools. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So here under my tools, markups, now this markup shows up right over here. So I can also access it right from here. By single left click on the tool, I could bring it into the drawing in the shape that it's in. So let's talk about that. So what I've got here is two ways to access a markup from the tool chest. I double click on the markup in the tool chest, in the tool set. You can see it changes shape, and it changes its mode of operation. So there's two modes. One is called properties mode, and one is drawing mode. So this is currently what's called properties mode. And the way I know that's properties mode is it's an icon that kind of shows the tool in a little sketch. Whereas drawing mode shows just the tool without the little symbol of the tool. So properties mode is going to allow me to create that markup with the properties of the markup, but not that same shape. So I could go ahead and here, and make my cloud plus. Escape. So now I've created this markup with the properties of that particular markup. Now suppose I've got a markup in here that I just want to reuse. Here we go. I've already created this markup and I just want to bring it in that same size. This particular one is an RFI, some information about a stall width. So I'm going to use that just like that. And put this right here. I've got a bathroom stall in here, and I'm asking for an RFI. I just want to get some clarity on the width. You can see it's sort of at a little corner over here. Just want to make sure that all my ADA specs are compliant with this. So what I've done is I just clicked on that markup in what's called drawing mode and just dropped it onto the drawing itself. So I can go ahead and reuse this markup in that shape over and over. So let's take a look at some of the properties here. Oh, another thing, so this is really cool. In the tool chest, I've got these tools, and you can see they're all labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, what do you suppose that actually means? Well, I'll tell you. So if I come over here and just press key number 5, it's going to give me that markup number 5. And that was in drawing mode. So click on it, and now it's in properties mode. Type 5. Now I can draw that markup any shape I like with the same properties. So those are just your hotkeys, and they'll only show up in my tools tool chest. So basically, the tool chest is a catalog of available tool sets, and they could be turned on and off. So I could use these little chevrons to turn them on and off. The recent tools toolbar or a tool set here is basically going to show you all the recent tools that you've used in your session of Bluebeam. When I close Bluebeam down, this recent tool set is going to empty out. So if there are tools in here that you like and you want to keep, it's as easy as opening up another tool set. Like, let's say I got my tools, single left click, drag it up into the other tool set. There it is, populates with a number that's ready to go. So I'll be able to save that one in the My Tools tool set. Okay. Everybody, I hope everyone's following along. Let's look at some customization here. So I'm going to click on this one here, and suppose I want to change the color of my fill. And I've got orange. Let's say I want to make this fill yellow. And I'm going to come over and make the fill of my text box, make that yellow as well. And I'll use the red line work there. And then so I want to change this line work here. Let's see, where is that? So that's going to be, this line is going to be the line that resembles the cloud. And I'm going to change that to like a dark blue. And I'm going to keep my line style, but I'm going to make it a little thicker here. And then I'm just going to make my cloud a little larger. So at this point, customizing this tool for what I want. And then if I want to save this tool in this, in this setup, I can right click on it, add to tool chest, my tools. There it is in my tool chest. Ready to go. So we looked at saving tools, moving tools from one tool set to another. It's just single click and drag and drop. We looked at symbol view and detail view. So detail view, again, is going to give you, in the tool set, detail view is going to give you a little bit of details, comments, and information about that tool. Symbol view is where you got this toolbar, You can double click on it to change its state. Here's another, actually I'm gonna make this one. So let's see, I've got this break room here and I don't have any locations for appliances yet. So I'm gonna just wanna ask, okay, what's the locations here? So I'm gonna come over and use the callout tool. And it's gonna start by placing an arrow. And then the little callout, actually, one little quick, I'm gonna do that. Callout tool. Single left click, there's my arrow. And then there's gonna be my callout. Appliance locations. And I'll escape. That will get me out of placing that callout. All right, so now let's customize it a little bit. Let's go ahead and give it a fill color. Say for appliances, we're going to go with green. And down here for text, we'll go with blue. And for our line, we'll do our line. We'll leave our line red. I think that'll work. And then here, if I want to change the width around that callout. Now I've got this arrow also. If I, let's see, I click on my properties here and I come over to the end, I can change that arrow end to a little symbol or a little dot, something like that. And I could also click on that and add leader. So I just left clicked on the leader itself and then right clicked to get this drop down menu and add leader. So and another one. So appliance locations. And now, like I said earlier, I could double click in here, change this text to confirm appliance locations. Or I could click in this white box over here and do the same thing. All right, so here's this markup. And since it's appliances and that's dealing with design, I want to reference my design team on this. So I'm gonna, under subject, and we're gonna kind of shift gears a little bit and we're gonna talk about subjects. Under subject, I'm gonna put architecture. And when I do that, down here, since I highlighted the callout, it's selected down here. So when I give it a subject, architecture, now I've got an architecture subject. And let's say this down here, this is also going to be, I want the architecture or architects to address this as well. Architecture. So now I've got two questions, or say call out and a question for the architect here. And I'll use this information in another exercise with the responsibility column that we're going to create here next. Let's look at another tool. So I'm going to do just a regular text box for this. And what I've got here is inside this janitor's closet, I've got a electrical panel that is incomplete, and I just want to bring it to someone's attention. So I'm going to put in a text box and pictures. I'm going to use the text box to alert myself or anyone else looking at this drawing that here is a location for pictures. Because the little icon for the camera is quite small and it'll easily blend in. So I like to put pics, and then I'd like to make it, and that looks pretty good. I just want to make it visible. That's my idea here. Something like that. And then I could publicize my text to the text box and make the text box just a little smaller. All right. So now, since I want to add pics to this location, I'm going to click on that text box that I just created, and I'm going to come down to the capture tool. And I'm going to use from file, and I'm going to go to the file that has the pictures of the electrical panel that's not complete. Open. Now you can see that icon, it's really tiny. So now I've created this little icon. It keeps getting smaller no matter how I zoom, right? It wants to stay small and hidden. It's kind of staying out of the way. I've gone ahead and add some pics. And if I click on that icon, I can have, I don't know how many, but I've at times had, 10 or so pics in here, low resolution, of course, just for information. And whether it's site conditions, existing conditions, or whatever the case may be. And also Bluebeam gives you the ability to do a 360-degree view pic. And I believe you could put short little videos in here too. Don't quote me on the videos. I'm not 100% sure about that. It's been a little while since I've used that function. So, all right, so there's our pics. And now I want to add a note. So there's another tool, the note tool. I come to my tools and markup, note, and I just click right over here. I'm going to put in a note. I always start out with please. Let's say, please confirm panel locations. And continue. All right, so now I've added a note. So instead of putting a text box, that's got all that info, I've got a little note. So when I do my drawings, I know if I see pics, now it's pretty easy to find. There's my little icon. I could look at the pics, click on the note. And if I look down here in my markups list, under comments, here's my note markup, and here's my comments. So this brings us into looking at this part of the markups list. So here's the nice thing about the markups list. It basically automatically tracks all your markups, right, on the PDF. Things like JPEGs, notes, measurements, including, author, date, comments. We'll look at some of these other columns that are available. This markups list can be sorted. If I want, I could just single left click and drag any one of these columns and, move it to wherever I'd like. Something like that. And you could set up the orientation of your columns, how you like them, and save them in a profile and keep them that way. Now, just keep in mind when you set up these columns, these columns are going to work with this drawing. So when you open up this drawing, you'll get the display of these columns. All right, so let's go into columns here a little bit and custom columns and status. So we've got our markups, right? And so now what? So I need architects to get back to me, and I need electrical to get back to me. So under this markup, actually, under pics, you can see subject here just shows text box. That's how it defaults in. I'm going to change this to electrical. Now I have an electrical subject down here. Okay, architecture, electrical, as many as you want. I could click on these right here and open them or close them down and change the order of those just by clicking in the subject box. So next we're going to talk about status. So status, right over here, the status column, if I click on manage status, I get a couple of basic status models. So I've got review. I click that on. It's going to give me these models here: accepted, rejected, canceled. But I don't necessarily like that model, right? So I'm going to change and add a status, and I'm going to call this review and put a number 1 next to it just for now. And now what I want to do is I'm going to add different statuses. So I've created this new one under add. And then the next thing I'm going to click add to add different statuses. And I'm going to put on here, put a status like in transit. And that's like, just say there's some equipment that's not available. Now I can put color to it, and I'll just put orange for in transit. I'll create another status called under review. And the color for that, I'll give it an orange as well, because it's kind of not quite finished. I'll put completed. And go green for completed. In transit, under review, completed, and let's do one more that's in progress. Progress, I'll say 30%. And then you could do a 60, a 90% if you like, so I'll just give that a blue. Okay. So now I'm adding these different status states to this new status model that I've created. And I'm going to click OK. Under status for, let's say, let's click on this architectural, on this electrical one. So I've got rows over here, as you can see. They're not really highlighted that well, but you get used to where they are. So now what I'm going to do is double click in here. And since I created that status field, and now I've got the statuses that I've created. So I could just say for this electrical, it's under review, and then just put that status right in here. And it's going to show up with the color orange. And it's going to change that pix to orange. That didn't, but it should. And then say we come back a little while later, and now it's going to say we're in progress 30%. So I could stack my statuses, and it's going to change color once again. And if I double click again, I could say, all right, it's now completed. It turns green. So the status column, it's just a nice way to keep track of what you've got going on. Next, let's look at responsibility column. So that's the other one that kind of goes hand in hand with status. So let's take a look here under columns. So markups list, right next to it is a drop-down arrow. And then if I hover over columns, these are my available columns. And then down here are my custom columns. So I've got a couple in here that I've created. And the ones that are checked on are on, and the ones that are not checked are actually off. I'm going to click on Manage Columns. Now here are, again, all the columns, and I could uncheck them from here, and they won't display when I click on the markups list, because they'll just kind of be offline for us at that point. I'm going to click on Custom Columns, and I created this column, so let's take a look at the responsibility column that I created. So this one right here, it's a responsibility column with just text. So I can use this column and just type text into the field. So under responsibility here, I can come over here and just type in text and put in a name and say this is going to be Becky. She's on the hook for electrical. Or I could do a choice. So I'm going to come back to my markups list and columns and back to responsibility. Oh, I turned that off. Back to manage columns, custom columns. So now I made a custom column here, and I made it a choice type column. The way I would do this is add, and I type in, responsibility, and I'll just put 1 next to it. And I want this column to be, so here's my choices or my options for this column. I could either have a check, you can make a choice, put a date, formula. When we do our measurements webinar, sometime next quarter, we'll look at that. I could just place a number, say this is going to be part of a formula, and I want this number to be, cost of material or something, and I can type that. I'm going to click on choice, excuse me there, and now I've got options. Item is going to be, say, the name of the entity that's going to be responsible, and subject line is going to match with these subject lines here. So it's going to link those right up. So I'm going to go ahead and add item, and I'm going to say this is going to be Tom. Subject is going to be electrical, and okay. And then the next one I'm going to add will be Sarah, and subject here is going to be electrical. And then under, let's see, I'll do a couple for architecture so you can see how that works. So for this, I'll put down Peter, and subject is architecture. And we'll add one more, and we'll call this Karen, and put architecture here. So the idea with this process is, now what I've done is put names to the subjects. These are the responsible parties, and I've added subjects. I'll hit OK, and that's my responsibility 1 column. And again, with this, you can save this column that you created to your profile. And I'm going to, let's see, responsibilities. Here's my responsibility 1 column that I created. So now let's take a look at our electrical issue down here. And if I double click on here, now it gives me a choice. So that choice option, I could pick Tom, who's the inspector, or Sarah, who's the project manager. So let's say I want to pick Tom in this case. And now under architecture, double click over here. I've got Peter, who's our designer. I could select him to address this. And then let's say this particular one, I could select Karen, who's the PM, and she could address that. Okay, so that's how a custom column is going to work with your markups. Here's how our statuses were working. I know we've covered a lot and kind of quickly, but just as a little recap, we've, I want to click on this guy and make it a highlight. Will it? No, it won't. But what I can do under my fill color and opacity, I'm going to drop it down a little. Let's go here. There we go. So just so you know, with this one, the text changed to green when this became green. But that's just kind of a brief look at markups, customizing the markup, giving them different colors. We created different arrow types. We saved markups into our tool sets. We looked at some different tool sets. We looked at Bluebeam review extensions. Good place to check out, folks. Check them out. And Bluebeam's a phenomenal resource for their product. They really are, as well as Topcon. So, and as well as the trainers at Topcon, myself included. So let's see if there's anything else that I would like to cover. I'll leave the rest of the time for questions, actually. So you know what, let's look at markup summary, and then we'll do questions. We may run over, folks, but we'll try and keep it quick. So a couple of other markup tools. Next to markups is this little eyeball. If I click on that, turns the markups off. The idea for that is you can print your document without the markups on it. if that's something you wish to do. And then next to, let's see, over here is our summary. So I'll go through this here. I could have CSV or PDF summary. So I'm going to click on PDF summary. And I get this, another dialog box. What I want to show you here is if I append and hyperlink, the summary itself is going to be created of the markup information. And then I can click on the issues on the summary and it'll direct me right to the document itself. So append and hyperlink, I've got two styles of a summary, flow and table. We'll go with flow, and a thumbnail size, I'll go with small. Okay. Next thing, I want to go to columns. If I select up here, I can turn them all off. And I want subject, I want date, I want comments, I want status, I want responsibility. I'll use the responsibility one column. We use that a lot more. All right. So now I have a report that's going to show me all this info. Filter and sort. Under subject, I just want architecture and electrical. Date and comments. Let's see. Comments, I'll just do all comments. Work, status, completed, custom. Nope, I don't want to do that. Completed and blank. All right. So now I'm going to click OK. And it's going to create a report. It's going to attach this report as another page in that document. And now here I've got a report. It's showing, say for this one, for example, it's got pictures, status, under review, or in progress, completed, responsibility, responsible party. Same here, this particular one, architecture, an RFI. If I click on that, it'll hyperlink me right to the document, and vice versa. Well, actually, no, it just hyperlinks me right to the document. Go back to it, same thing here, I've got this. So you can take this report basically with you into a meeting and just talk about issues on the document. Have the document there with you, but now you've got this report to help kind of focus some of these, some of the comments and some of the information in the markups. So folks, I would like to say thank you and open this up for questions. I know we ran just a teeny bit long, but we're still within 10 o'clock. Thank you so much for your time, and please, and Diana, if you want to help, if any questions come in, we've got a couple more minutes and we can.
Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Thank you to Vinnie for being our presenter today, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas from everyone at Topcon Solutions.
Thank you all.